Battalion 2 to Engine 48, come out of that building.
Focus on the red or whiskey.
Receive. Battalion 2 to command, Engine 48 is calling a mayday. They on the second floor on the Delta Alpha side.
Second floor on the Delta side, correct?
Affirmative. Check and announce that over the radio. We got a mayday, mayday, mayday.
Receive. All companies, we've got a mayday, mayday. All companies, we've got a mayday. Stay off of the radio until further notice. Let's do fire ground. Everybody, let's change fire ground to channel 10. We're going to change fire ground to channel 10.
Breaking news tonight. Firefighters trapped in a raging inferno. A mayday call for help and a daring rescue mission to get them out.
Breaking news from CBS 11.
Breaking news right now at 11. Chopper 11 is live over a massive apartment fire in northeast Dallas. Started about 90 minutes ago at the Cambridge Park Apartments on Adelia Road. It's right near LBJ, and you can see that the flames are still going strong.
I'm Natalie Solis. We begin with breaking news in northeast Dallas, where people are being rescued from a 3-story apartment building fire.
I knew immediately that I was in a circumstance that I couldn't get myself out of.
Second department on the second floor to the right. We're caught and we're stuck.
I'm Daniel Dallas. I'm a battalion chief with the Dallas Fire Department. I'm currently assigned to Battalion 4 on the A shift. I was the initial incident commander on the Cambridge Park fire, which occurred on November 27th of 2018. I took the Charlie command side of the structure as the incident escalated.
Battalion 2 to Engine 48. Battalion 4 to Battalion 2, we got a cross lake coming your way. Battalion 2 to Battalion 4, I'm trying to get contact with Engine 48.
My name is James Russ. I'm Battalion 2 on A shift. At the Cambridge Park fire, I was in charge of Alpha Division. Initially, when we showed up on location, we saw a lot of smoke coming from the Charlie Bravo side of the building, with light smoke coming out of the Delta Alpha side of the building. Battalion 4 was already in command and was on the Charlie side. He contacted me on Channel 12 and told me to take charge of the Alpha Division.
Lieutenant Patty Kraft. I'm assigned to Engine 48 A shift. At the Cambridge fire, I was assigned to Battalion 2 to search with Engine 29 on the Alpha Delta side. We were searching and Tamika yelled to me, "Lou, there's fire in the hall."
Tamika Lamb, I'm a firefighter paramedic. I'm stationed at 28 C shift, but for the Mayday, I was at 48 on A shift as a higher back. So initially, when we went in, we were, doing our search for individuals in the building. Lou and the other member went to the right, I went to the left, and I was at a vantage where I could look back into the hallway, and I saw that there was fire there. I radioed to her and on 12 that we had fire behind us. That was our way in and out. So she knew that that was not a good thing as well. So we got together and we looked for windows before we called for anything. So we tried to get out ourselves. And once that, I guess, big part of the fire, pushed our way, it got real dark real fast, pushed us all the way to the ground, very, very low visibility, got really, really hot. Lou did an awesome job getting us all together, making sure that, she had hands-on accountability of the entire team. And like I said, once we couldn't find the windows is when she radioed and let them know that we were in trouble.
And said, "Get over here with me." I think she said it verbally and then said it again on the radio because she wasn't sure if I had heard her. So I tried to gather my crew together and find our way. I was literally heading back toward where we came in, to the door. We got together and really and truly, probably within 10 feet, I felt like I was physically pushed to the ground by the heat. And at that point, I knew I was in trouble. I was thinking, I need to call a mayday. Battalion 2 was yelling at me to get out, yelling at Engine 48 to get out.
Battalion 2 to Engine 48, come out of that building.
And I cannot tell you why I didn't say the word mayday. All I could say was we were stuck. and he interpreted that correctly, thank goodness.
Back to find my way out, I will see. I'm set.
Receive. Battalion 2 to command. Engine 48 is calling a mayday. They on the second floor on the Delta Alpha side.
Second floor on the Delta side, correct?
Affirmative.
All companies, we've got a mayday, mayday. All companies, we've got a mayday. Stay off of the radio until further notice. Let's do fire ground. Everybody, let's change fire ground to channel 10. We're going to change fire ground to channel 10.
Prior to the mayday being called, I was actually talking with the USAR team. They were conducting their 360. At that point, we heard Engine 48 describing their situation, which was not very clear on the radio.
Battalion 2 to Engine 48, what's your location?
Once we had a clearer and better understanding of what was going on, and we knew that Engine 48 was in trouble and trapped, the mayday was called. I remained in command of the Charlie Division, and the USAR team went to the Delta side of the structure to initiate the rescue.
My name's Keith Massengill. I work at Station 19, captain of our USAR team, and at the Cambridge Park Fire we were RIT. When we arrived on scene, there was a large amount of fire, and we had only been there a few minutes when the mayday came in, so it just looked like a large apartment fire from our perspective. Before the mayday even happened, I actually heard Engine 48 saying they were having trouble getting out, so we started back towards where I'd set up our RIT team, and when the mayday was activated, it was basically gather as much information, go in the last known location, and try to get to them as fast as possible with the information that we had.
USAR 19 confirmed mayday, second floor, Alpha Delta. Receive.
Lieutenant Kraft was very specific about our location, and that was one of the main factors of us being able to find them in such a short period of time. Was she knew exactly where her and her crew were. So that was huge. That was a huge benefit for us.
Are we talking to Engine 48?
Engine 48 is in the building on the second. We're second the building on the right. Turn in. It's good. Turn down.
Engine 48, slow down and repeat that.
We're going to go in with the second apartment on the right.
Is that the second apartment on the right, correct?
That's affirmative.
So basically my thought was, once I had called a mayday, once they had realized I was calling a mayday, and they were coming, and Truck 19, truck captain was talking to me on the radio, I'm going to stay here and hope they can come and get us out.
My name is Charlie Salazar. I'm Deputy Chief with Dallas Fire Rescue. I'm assigned to Special Operations. At the Cambridge Fire, I started in Delta, transitioned to RIT Group Supervisor, and then went back to Delta after a successful rescue of 3 firefighters. RIT team, 19s, they were there, and they had already set up in the most critical position and the most advantageous position for a rescue. Captain Massengill came up to me and he said, "Did you hear that, Chief?" I said, "No, hear what?" They declared a mayday for Engine 48 for Patty, and I said, "Okay, well, let's get set up."
Well, not knowing that it was going to happen, I believe she did a great job of keeping her crew all together. So we were looking for 3 individuals, but in one spot.
Engine 48, activate your pass device.
Our hands are going off.
Receive. Hey, Cap, is that you with your flashlight?
We do a lot of training on RIT because it's one of the main fundamental cores that we've established with our USAR team is rapid intervention team on every multiple alarm. One of us is going. So we practiced it a lot. I feel like everybody that was with us was prepared to go, and that training paid off that day.
Rick, command, we have all 3 members coming out.
Go, move faster, guys. Hold on, hang up. We got one out. They're still making the way out.
Command, you receive that?
We got two out. They're still working the way out.
Command, receive. Let me know when everybody's out.
We got the third one out. We're waiting on Rick. We're waiting on Rick.
Receive.
Go ahead and run a par on all my rig companies. Run a par on all my rig companies. We got everybody out at this time.
Command, receive.
All three firefighters and a resident were treated for injuries, but they are expected to be okay. And one official told me if it had not been for that rapid intervention team going in so quickly, David, this would have been far worse.
One thing that I really wanted to mention about the Mayday, in particular to the training, is that RIT 19 set up in a position not by coincidence but based off of their training. So when they train, they know to come up to the command board, look to see where the firefighters are, assess the building, find out where the most critical areas are. And in doing that, they talk about where they're going to set up. So in that particular situation, they set up in the perfect location. And like I said, that wasn't by coincidence. That was based off of training. You know, one thing that the department did, they did the phase training for Mayday. They invited USAR so that they could have a really good process in doing that. And then, you know, some of these companies, it's up to individual companies to really take it upon themselves that, you know, I've been through the phase training, but, you know, that was an exercise that they put us through and we had to go through. But what are we going to do now to make sure that whenever we go down or somebody else goes down, we're going to be ready for that? So I just wanted to make sure that we knew that that rescue situation, although everything played out perfectly, a lot of it was by design, by the training that we've prepared for.
The few things that did help us in this incident, I don't know, as I've said, if I would change anything, but what did help us was the station crew, engine and truck 57, doing pre-planning at that location throughout the years they've been there. Chad Smith, Captain Chad Smith on truck 57, knew the address, looked at what he had while getting en route and transmitted the second alarm, which got the ball rolling. In transmitting the second alarm early in this incident, we actually got the USAR team rolling, everybody else was rolling, which worked out to our benefit with that second alarm being transmitted as soon as it was transmitted. But as far as changing anything, I think it went well. What helped was our training here at the drill tower. We'd actually done a training session approximately a month before with the USAR team, which actually prepared us for this incident.
I think a lesson learned is communication, which is the most important thing, is that what we were trying to do at that fire was to make sure we would communicate with everybody and make sure that you know where everybody is and be accountable for your people. And if you can't see them or touch them, you have to be able to talk to them. So communication is key on each side of the fire, each division, and making sure that all the information is flowing through your division commanders and that we don't keep the radio channels bogged down with information that is not pertinent to what we're trying to accomplish at that time.
In a perfect scenario, RIT Group Command and my RIT supervisor, who's outside that I'm communicating with, would be either two different individuals or they would be monitoring two different channels. So when I talk to RIT supervisor, the only person I want to hear is the information I'm giving to that person outside and the officer that I was talking to that had called the Mayday. In our scenario, I was able to hear that, but I was also able to hear communication between RIT Group Command and Fireground Command. And that crossover could have caused some confusion, that could have caused some issues.
I don't know if anyone's ever really prepared for a Mayday. It's a very stressful situation, even for people who are standing outside in the yard like I was. You can tell someone's nervous and stressed out because they're in a fire situation and they're stuck or they feel like they can't get out. I mean, a Mayday just on its own is very stressful. Luckily, we had some training about, I don't know, it was probably 2 months before this incident. There was a USAR training, and they did their Mayday. They were doing everything they were supposed to. And in this training, they actually said, hey, let's try doing all of this other stuff on a different channel. Let's keep the Mayday on one channel, one radio channel, that is. And so we practiced that, we tried that, and it worked really good. And on this incident, it helped because I had already done it in training. I had been prepared, I kind of knew what to expect, and it was a lot more comfortable as we were doing it. But like I said before, Maydays in general are just very stressful, and you have to act quick and you have to make decisions fast.
Training-wise, yes. You're never fully prepared to be put in a situation like that. I think that's with anybody, whether you're brand new on the department or if you've been doing this job for years. I think a big thing for me was being with an officer that I trusted and that I knew what she was doing. I never once questioned her decisions, her orders. She said to stay together, you know, to get down low, and that's exactly what we did. She's been doing this job a lot longer than me. She has a great reputation. I mean, she's a great leader, so I had no reason not to trust what she was saying, and, you know, I never thought once that she wasn't going to get us out. So I guess my advice for somebody new coming into this job, finding themselves in that situation is, you know, be proficient in checking out your gear in the mornings, making sure that your mask seals, making sure that you have a full tank of air. By the time we got out, our vibe alerts were going off, so had my tank not been full, then, you know, maybe it would have been a different, you know, ending to that situation. Getting in the habit of when you bunk out that everything's buttoned up, gloves are all the way on, you know, your flaps are down on your helmet and everything's buttoned up. And then also, you know, if there's stuff that you don't understand training-wise, getting with your officer and going over things in a safe environment. You know, you train as you fight, so if we don't ever practice, you know, buddy breathing or, you know, being able to, you know, find your way around a wall to a window, or how you would extricate yourself from a room, whether it's going through a wall or going through a window, asking to, you know, do some of that training in a non-threatening environment will make you more prepared, and you'll feel more confident when you do get into a scenario where it is life-threatening.
My biggest takeaway from this would be is if you think you're in trouble, don't be afraid to call for help. I knew immediately that I was in a circumstance that I couldn't get myself out of, and so I called for help. I think that when you're a new officer, and I've experienced this, you don't want to put a second on something because you don't want anybody to think, oh, they panicked. You can always turn them around. Call for help, put a second on it. Those are the things that, those are the reason I'm sitting here, because somebody was smart enough to put a second on it as soon as they saw it and said, this is too much for us. For that Chief Battalion 2 yelling, get out of there, me saying, hey, I'd love to, but I'm stuck, and him interpreting that appropriately, thank goodness for me. Call for help if you need it. You can always, if you can self-extricate, do it, say, hey, stand down, but if you need it, that 5 extra minutes, I wouldn't be here if I'd waited 4 minutes. And I know that for a fact.